Our art kit for this week focuses on some graphic artists, and we're familiar with digital artists and graphic designers in the world of digital art, but some of these artists were digital or graphic artists long before that was really a thing. So in your packet, you'll find some information about MC Escher. And if you've ever heard the word tessellation, that would be what Escher is most famous for. Patterns like this, I see this and I think of Q*bert, the video game Q*bert, which also was a pixel. So there were tessellations in pixels involved in that particular video game. And if you've ever watched the movie Pixels, it's fun to watch how they take those 3D versions of the old video game characters and show how they're pixelated. And Escher also did things with reflections and optical illusions. And one of the fun facts that I learned about Escher is if you have seen the Lord of the Rings movies, the Mines of Moria were probably based on the work of Escher. He was very famous for his optical illusions and the way he would make one thing look like two different things depending on how you looked at it. So Escher is quite fascinating, and the project that we have to go with his art is this Q*bert style grid, which you can color any way you want to. The rule about tessellations is that it is tiled. It is the same thing repeated over and over and over and over. And that is the same thing with pixel art. Pixel art is essentially art on graph paper, and it can be any size graph paper, but a pixel is essentially a dot or a square of color in a space. So one of the examples that we had here was this heart, and it even has the little reflection on it to make it almost look 3D even though it is pixels. So I'm going to create an Escher style piece of art here with this piece that comes in your kit. And then there's also several things about self-portraits and different ways to do self-portraits. And if you are interested and your grown-ups are okay with it, look up self-portraits of various artists, because many very, very famous artists did self-portraits, and they generally did them in the same style that they painted or drew in all of their other works. So it's fun to see different kinds of self-portraits. And I would love to hang your self-portraits up if you want to sign them down at the bottom so that we can see who it is, or maybe even up here towards the top of the page. Maybe we can have a self-portrait gallery here at the library. So bring these back in, and the markers are yours to keep unless you'd like to bring those back. And just a little reminder, if you have a painting kit from last week, do please bring those paintbrushes and palettes back. So now let's get started coloring. Your kit came with 4 different colors. I love markers and crayons and anything to color with, so I have a lot more than 4 colors here of my own. You can, of course, use your own supplies and color with whatever you'd like, or you can use the 4 markers that came in your kit. Either way, have fun and enjoy creating a pattern using tessellations. colored. When I first looked at this, I saw cubes, like the kind of cubes that Cubert jumps up and down on. But as I colored this and was having optical illusion issues while looking at it, I realized it's actually just a row of diamonds. And then these look like upside down books to me on top of the diamonds. But depending on how I color it or how I'm looking at it, it can be so many different things. They could be books standing upright underneath the diamonds, or they still could be cubes. So I'm going to continue to color it, and I'm actually curious to see what my eye sees at the end of all of this. And I'm only going to use one other color. Since you guys all have 4 colors, I'm using 4 colors, and we'll see what this looks like when we're all done. So that was a really interesting experience to color that in a pattern at the very beginning. So I used 4 colors, just like you have in your kits. You just have slightly different markers. And I noticed as I was coloring that I was actually feeling almost like I was in a 3D picture, like I was coloring the front faces of the blocks. And sometimes it was almost like it got twisted, like these are the tops of the blocks. They're all diamonds, or they're all squares, depending on how you are actually looking at it. And so I encourage you, make sure that you step away from it occasionally and look and see what pattern you are seeing. There's actually a flower in here as well. So really, this could be colored so many different ways to create totally different pictures using the exact same shapes on the page. And it's flat, and it doesn't feel flat while you're coloring it. So have a great time with this, and I cannot wait to see your finished projects.